Hi guys, so by the time you see this, Rebel Wars Series 10 and the International Championship something or other, I'm not sure what it's going to be called, will both have aired, and hopefully they were great. I was lucky enough once again to go and see the filming up in Glasgow. This time I went for, well, I applied for 3 sessions instead of just the 1. I just had this inkling that we were really lucky before to get 7 fights in 1 session. Turned out to be a good instinct to go for, because one of these sessions only had 3 at the end. Plus I had a rostered rest week. My wife was on a course, so I was like, sorry, I'm going to go up for a couple of days and see a few sessions. So yeah, I got all 3, so that was good. And I'm briefly going to hand over to my previous self. Hi guys, so it's Sunday the 14th of May 2017, and as you might be able to tell from the shocking state of my hair, I've just worked a 12-hour night shift and then got the train straight up from Brighton to Glasgow. I've just arrived and I feel a little bit shattered, if I'm honest, but completely worth it, because tomorrow I get to see the filming of Robot Wars once again. Excuse me. So yeah, completely worth it. I was on the bus coming over, and then I suddenly thought, ooh, I think you should be able to see it out the right, and yeah, there was a little fleeting glimpse of the Robot Wars, the big warehouse where they film it. And yeah, I'm so excited. So yeah, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. So after the most refreshing sleep of my life, I swear, I'm on my way, and just over there, through the bushes, is the Robot Wars warehouse. And in the meantime, it's a lovely riverside walk. Delightful. So approaching the building was very weird. It was being there, having been there before, just seeing it in the distance. It's quite a lot of flat ground around there, and just this building you can see for a long time. Like my walk in, you could see it for like half an hour before you actually got to it, and like the built-up tension, it was very, very odd. It was I don't know how to describe it. It was just very peculiar, this sort of like impending excitement just at this warehouse on an industrial estate. It's bizarre how such a crappy little sign can inspire such excitement in me. Alright, so I'm here. Pretty early, there's a few other people around, but hopefully means I'll get a bloody good seat. So having got there, yeah, there was actually a huge amount of waiting around. I was a little bit like, obviously I'm a patient person in general, but it took us 5 hours at least before we saw our first robot battle. There seemed to be a lot of waiting around at the start, in that tent, etc. And then they just seemed to film loads of sort of intro shots of like Dara and Angela like doing their intros, which was, it's still cool to see behind the scenes, how they do it, how they set it up. We got lots of bizarre footage of, the 2 stand-ins just sort of sitting there for dramatic camera sweeps and stuff. But yeah, after a while, even I was getting a bit like, oh come on, can we please see a robot fight? But still, sitting around there was still, lots of things to look at. I couldn't help but notice some of the damage that seemed to have been done to the arena already, and only imagine, the kind of fights that have been happening beforehand. But yes, eventually, in came Rapid on the other side of the arena, so I was like, okay, that's a pretty decent start. Rapid, Flipper didn't do too well in the last series, but you sort of saw there was a lot of potential there. Very well funded robot. And then yeah, on our side, Carbide came in. I was like, oh brilliant, okay, fair enough, this will be worth it. And yes, oh god, it was. So Rapid got this really awesome flip in on Carbide. I was thinking, Christ, this genuinely could go either way. But then yeah, when that panel got ripped off the side, and then the arena just filled up with smoke from Rapid, like absolutely filled it. And then obviously, a good sort of 5 minutes later, it burst into flames, and that was spectacular to watch. It's something special when the judges are getting their cameras out to have a little picture. Unfortunately, of course, all that massive toxic fumes did mean that the arena had to be ventilated for about an hour afterwards, so there was another massive delay to watching X fight. But to be honest, that was totally worth it. Seeing Carbide rip apart a robot to the point when it erupts into flames, that's something to see. So that was cool. And yeah, we also got to see the new CO2 jets. They tried to use that to actually get rid of some of the fumes. They're kind of a cool addition. I quite like them. I didn't really get what they were for, but then in a fight we saw later with Sabretooth, they, under the sort of cover, of the CO2 jets. They managed to sort of go to the other end of the arena, so when the smoke cleared, I guess they had a little bit of advantage briefly from appearing in another part of the arena without really being seen. And they just generally look quite badass. So after that we had Magnetar and Behemoth. The seats, for some of the battle, the seats weren't the best for that because we had sort of the barriers right in front of us and they were right behind, right there behind the barriers. But it was still cool seeing just random noises and sparks fly up from outside behind them. That was pretty cool. And it was a good battle, and the little twist ending at the end, that was very cool to see. And I was quite pleased with my footage of this one. So next up there was Terahertz and Sabretooth, and this was like one of the championship-y international match things against Dietor and Rabid, I think it was called. Like, obviously at the time, I'm gonna be really stupid because if it's not called Rabid, but at the time they kept saying Rabid, and I think it's called Rabid. But basically Rabid and Dietor were just D and Kadena Machina from the Battle of the Stars episodes. But never mind. But that battle was incredibly short. Basically one hit from each of the British robots killed the other two. But we got to see Dietor on fire, and that's another childhood little dream. That's a little nostalgic reference back there. And when I was watching it, I saw, they always used to put Sergeant Bash in there with Dietor, because of the flame going on fire, blah, 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 blah. And seeing Shunt like nudge it towards the pit and then just flip it onto the flame pit, I thought, I think I am familiarised the house robots a little bit too much, but I just saw Shunt almost like saluting, like, this one's for you, Bash, up it went. So that was cool to see. So in between the morning and afternoon session, I quickly got a selfie of Dara O'Brien. I was so annoyed with myself. Like, I saw him earlier in the day, and I sort of just smiled, politely, respectfully. I'm not one of these people who needs, to have a selfie with these celebrities. But then I saw him, and then someone else was having a selfie, and I was like, I'm going to get a selfie. And I just kind of went for it, without really kind of thinking about it. And I feel a bit of a like, oh, Dara, a bit of a twat. But I mean, he's probably used to it. He gets it all the time. Sod him. So the afternoon session, that kicked off with Apollo and Gabriel against Tomahawk and Cobra. And that was a really cool match, actually, a really decent match. Seeing Tomahawk kind of grab hold of Gabriel and swing it around in the flame pit. And of course, Apollo flipping Dead Metal. That was quite spectacular to see, and the crowd absolutely loved that. Poor Dead Metal was, like I say, I've got a soft spot for the house robots. I think they saved the show in the early series. But when it was flipped and the saw kind of dug into the ground, I was like, oh, that's brutal. And then Gable come in for a last slap on the underside. That was brutal. And that was the point, actually, when they were writing him, all the crew. Again, another point where I just looked at it, I thought, these things are absolutely enormous. Like, they're just ridiculous. After that was Carbide and Nuts. And I was getting a little bit, by this point, filming the battles. I wanted to get some good footage for this video and just general, film some battles and stuff. But by this point, I'd found that I was focusing a little bit on the camera, sometimes more than the actual fight, and I didn't want that to ruin it. So for this one, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to bother filming. Carbide Nuts. That was that was brutal. I heard, I don't know whether this is true. Obviously, you'll know again, but this battle came up previously in the series and it did not go the way of Carbide. So I was like, ooh, anything could happen here, but no, Carbide ripped the crap out of poor Nuts. But that was cool to see, and a little flip at the mini-bar at the end. Then we had Eruption versus Behemoth, and Eruption's flipper, my god, that thing is brutal. I can't believe, it flips, you sort of think flip. But it flipped Behemoth a few times and it just went flying, absolutely flying across the arena. That was awesome. I really liked that battle. And then we knew that there was going to be the final. I think a lot of people went for the Wednesday afternoon session thinking that would be the final. And I just happened to stumble into the Monday afternoon session, which actually was the final in the end. And so it was going to be between Eruption and Carbide. And that was very intriguing, because obviously that's what the last series was, and it went the way of Carbide. But I'd heard Carbide hadn't been, well, it's still been its ferocious self, don't get me wrong, but the other robots had all stepped their game up a little bit and were giving it a little bit of a run for money, so that was going to be very cool to see. But before that, they had the house robots just randomly destroying some, like a washing machine or cooker or something, and a monitor and some stuff like this.
Not done yet.
Like, that's my childhood dream. Like, they're just like, right, we're gonna get the house robots, just smash up some stuff. It was awesome. It was so cool, and yeah, again, gave you a sense of the stupid scale of these things. And annoyingly, I say annoyingly, it's sort of a double-edged sword, but all the waiting around it was during this bit where the house robots were smashing stuff up, where a guy from the crew came and just randomly was picking a few people and said, oh, do you want to come into the pits for a bit? And obviously we were like, hell yes. And off we went, but we had to walk out on the house robots destroying stuff, which was just, oh, that was Sophie's choice right there. But no, I think in the end worked out for the best. Because yeah, going into the pits, that was just surreal. Like, this all makes me sound a bit peculiar, but it was like some sort of mecca almost, just like we're in the pits of Robot Wars. It was so cool. We could see the two teams preparing for the final. Sorry, the reason we went into the pits was to film those little bits where the judges talk about technology in the middle of the episodes. I tried my best to get like directly in line with the camera and just be like, yeah, and look all like intelligent and stuff. Maybe I'll be on TV, we'll see. It'd be quite funny if I am. And then, yeah, that's the reason we were behind there anyway. But yeah, to be honest, I was kind of just looking around like, wow, this is so cool. Oh, and during the filming of one of these little sections, Angela Scanlon messed up her words and just went, oh, fuck. And we were like, hey, we just saw her swear, that'd be great. Not gonna make the final cut. And we were then told to go stand by you have the tubes of lights where they slow motion walk down with their robot. For the final, you cheer on both competitors. So we were standing there right at the front. I was again leaning out as far as I could so I could be on TV like, yay! So yeah, we'll see if I'm on. Bear in mind, if I am on TV at the very start of the day, even though it's inside, a bird up in the thing pooed on my hoodie, so I've got bird poo on there. So if I'm on TV, bear in mind I've got bird shit on me, which is lovely. Very nice of them. But that was cool as well, just cheering them on, because you generally, I'm not sure who I wanted to win at that point. It was Carbide, who I respect and really love that robot. It's obviously just evil, and but Eruption, I love that team. He works so hard, and they lost last year, so it was really cool. And I was just talking to people around me. We were all saying, all chatting about it. Never met before. And then the fight actually went down, and again, I wasn't going to film this at all. I was just going to get into it, and it was an amazing fight, such a cool fight, and I'm so privileged to see it, like a final of Robot Wars. Well, if you know me at all, that's my fucking dream. So that's so cool. And yeah, we saw them get the trophy. It was, yeah, that day was awesome. That was an awesome day. And yet that wasn't even the end of it for me, because there was a gap on Tuesday of filming, and then on Wednesday I had another session. On Tuesday I planned to do some stuff in Glasgow, but the first day was so knackering that I slept until gone 2 in the afternoon, so I didn't really get a chance to do much in the end. But on the Wednesday we went in, and the first fight was, obviously these were all international fights. The first one was Concussion and Thor against I don't know what it was actually called in this, but it was Arena Cleaner and Terror Turtle. And that was another match that was over quite quickly. But we did get some cool, because they allow slight entanglement devices now or something, but those on Thor came absolutely flying off when the Arena Cleaner hit it with the spinner, and they came smashing into the plexiglass in front of us, like really high up. That was pretty intense. We then had a very long fight between Sabretooth and Cobra, and Sabretooth couldn't quite get its drum spinner in, but we saw some great gyro dancing, and when the drum spinner actually hit the side and stuff, that was a lot of noise, and we saw a little bit of arena damage when it was hit into the corner as well. Next up was Terahertz and Tomahawk, two axes going at it, and that was a very decent fight as well. Like I particularly love the way that Terahertz ended it, not just by pushing them into the pit, but by axing them into the pit. Like that was really, really cool, like a really cool end to it. And then the last fight we saw was Thwackbot v Thwackbot. Thwackbot v Thwackbot. Oh Jesus, that's a tongue twister. Thwackbot v Thwackbot. Thwackbot v Thwack. Gabriel versus Rabbit, which I thought I'd film like with my phone so I could like watch it a bit more. I was experimenting by this point and get some decent slow-mo. I'd filmed it with my slow-mo app, so I'd get some slow motion and some fast motion. So that was quite good fun. And yeah, that was the last fight we saw. That was a pretty decent long fight as well. Saw Gabriel's kind of sword spear thing go through the plexiglass and almost see Shunt lift it up right, a good meter off the ground. That was pretty impressive. And so that was the last fight. But overall, there were a couple of things that really stuck with me. The first one was the fact that it's very easy for people my age who grew up with the original series to sort of think of this thing as their own, like this is our series, finally we've got our Robot Wars back. But the number of kids there, and the fact that, and how excited they were for it, I hadn't really thought about the fact that this is like, this is the first series of Robot Wars for a lot of kids, or the first few series, and it's introducing it to a whole new generation. And I know that seems really obvious if you think about it, but I just hadn't thought about it in that way, and seeing how many kids were getting so excited by it, it was just very touching. I was like looking back at my own childhood and thinking like, oh, that's so cool, your first influences of this, that was really sweet to see. And secondly was just this massive sense of community. All the people around me, we were all talking, like I said, there was so much waiting around, and there was Roboteers, just general fans, just everyone all talking around me. I'd never met any of these people before, and we were having great chats. The Roboteers, they were all just so friendly and clearly just all got on so well. The presenters, Dara and Angela, they were all just sort of chilling out as well, just obviously enjoying themselves. And right at the end with Eruption, it was just such, all the crew came on, the judges, everyone's hugging. I just felt a sense of what a niche but incredibly strong community the whole Robot Wars community are. It was humbling. It was really good to see. And on a personal level, I'm going to go again. Obviously, when they film, or if they film another series, I'm going to go again. I didn't think last time could be topped. But this time, like I said, I saw a grand final. I saw Deer Tour catch fire. I went into the pits. I love it every time, and I can't wait to see the series on TV. Obviously, would have seen it by now, but you know what I mean. So yeah, as always, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed me getting all dizzy with excitement again, and see you in the next video. Boosh, oosh, don't know what I'm doing.